Hey guys, Laura here with STP. Today is score release day for the June SAT. So comment below and let me know how you guys did. At the very end of this video, you're going to want to stick around because I will reveal to you guys what I scored on the June SAT. But really the purpose of this video is to share with you 9 insights that I gathered from actually sitting and taking the official digital SAT. I think that these insights are going to be helpful for you guys when you're prepping this summer to get ready for August. Now, before we get started, if you're new to my channel or you've been returning for a while and you find my videos super helpful, make sure you smash that subscribe button and notification bell below. You don't want to miss out on all the future content for me to help you master the SAT this summer. All right, first guys, this video is brought to you by Preply, the OG digital SAT prep app that's available in the App Store and in Google Play. Are you guys on your phone a lot? And do you have lots of extra time this summer to prep? Do you like the idea of just doing a little bit of daily practice, like 10 to 15 minutes each day? Then Preply is probably the way to go. So go download that and get prepping now. All right, now that you got your June score, you might be happy with it, you might be bummed, you might be somewhere in between, but it's time to stop looking at the past and start looking ahead to the future. So how can we utilize this June SAT to help us grow and become better on the next one? All right, insight number 1 for me, time on Module 2 English is extremely tight. Did you run out of time on Module 2 English? That is such a common occurrence, guys. It's like vastly different than Module 1. So the biggest issue I see students making is they go at a leisurely pace on Module 1, they have lots of extra time, and then they end up replicating that same pace that they're already used to on Module 2, and they run out with questions left. So you don't want that to happen to you on this next one if that happened to you already. So, at the end of the day, you've got these really, really dense texts that require you to read very, very carefully. You've got answer choices. Some of them are trap answers that you have to read really, really carefully and use process of elimination on to make sure you're getting to the right one. Listen, the reading ones take time. So here's my biggest tip for you. You're gonna wanna skip to number 15, get all the quicker questions out of the way, your grammar, your transitions, your note-taking, your words and context. And on those quicker questions, I want you to spend no more than 30 seconds to 1 minute on those. So if you're on a words and context question and you don't know all 4 words and you're not sure what the answer is, don't mull over it for 2 or 3 or 4 minutes. It's not worth it, guys. Put an answer down and move on because you're going to need to pick up the pace on Module 2 to get through everything. All right, insight number 2 that I have for you guys. Anything in College Board's question bank is fair game, and I mean anything. So don't assume that the questions that are in there more frequently are going to be the ones that are tested on your test. Because so far, I have noticed concepts coming up that show up very infrequently in the question bank. So just to put it in context for you guys, College Board says there's over 3,500 questions in the question bank. If we cut that in half, that means there's about 1,750 math questions. Now, there was a question on the March SAT that involved knowing and using the density formula, which was something you didn't need to know on the paper test. They used to provide it for you. And at the end of the day, in College Board's question bank, there's only 3 questions that I have found that are on that concept. 3 out of 1,750. Now, there was another question that was on my June test that involved the remainder theorem. I didn't even know they were testing the remainder theorem on the SAT. To be honest, I guessed on that, and either I must have gotten it right or it was one of those experimental questions, so I got super lucky with that one. But I have yet to see it in the question bank. I know they've added more questions in. It's probably in there somewhere, but these high probability questions aren't always the ones that are going to be tested. So if you want to get a super, super high math score, you're going to have to grind it out and make sure you see every single hard level question that you absolutely can. All right, insight number 3, reflection is important. So if you still have work to do and you're not happy with your June score, make sure that was a productive test and the time that you spent taking it is not wasted. What I want you to do now that you have your score back is I want you to sit down and I want you to get out a notebook and go to a blank page and title it June SAT. Then you're gonna make a T-chart. One column is going to be things I did well on the June SAT. The other column you're going to title things I need to do differently. And I want you to sit there and reflect and brainstorm all the things you think you need to do differently to be successful on your next test, whether it's August or October. So for example, if you notice that on Module 2 Math, towards the end, you were guessing on everything, you might want to put on your things to do differently column that you need to learn more ways to use Desmos, and you need to make sure that you're going through the hard questions in College Board's question bank. All right, my 4th insight for you kind of ties into what I was just talking about in the 3rd insight. You want to know what types of questions they are testing at the end of Module 2 Math. So guys, believe it or not, the majority of questions that they test at the end of Module 2 Math, if you have the harder second module, are in just 2 categories, okay? Quadratics and geometry. So if you notice or if you felt like your success rate was lower at the tail end of that second module, what I want you to do is go into the question bank and filter specifically to those 2 categories and practice the difficulty hard level questions. All right, guys, if you're finding this video helpful so far, show me some love, hit the like button below. All right, insight number 5, you can use the score report to help guide and direct you as to what to prep for this summer. The score report is okay. I mean, it shows you generally what categories you need to work on. But honestly, in my opinion, you need a more granular approach. You need to know specifically what types of questions in each category you're struggling with. So I would recommend you use another tool like a test tracker or an opportunity analysis spreadsheet. And you're not going to know what questions you missed from the June test, but if you utilize all of your Blue Book practice tests and you go ahead and input the types of questions you missed into the test tracker, then you'll at least be able to see patterns and identify specific weaknesses. For instance, maybe you have a specific weakness in transition questions. You're going to want to work on those this summer. So I'm going to link below to our test tracker PDF for both the English and the math so that you can start to go through your old practice tests and make sure you identify the areas you need to work on so that you're not working on everything under the sun. You want to be laser focused and target in on things. Now at STP, we actually have a more sophisticated analysis. It's a spreadsheet called an opportunity analysis spreadsheet that we use. And it really shows us like the percentages of different types of questions our students miss so we can prioritize what we work on first and second and third. That's something that's exclusive to our students at STP. So if you're interested in working with us, I will put a link up here. You can fill out our consultation form and we can meet and talk about one-on-one tutoring. We also do live classes, so check out our events page. And you can even get access to the spreadsheet if you sign up for one of our self-paced courses. All right, insight number 6. I have noticed that vocabulary words often repeat themselves on different tests. So if I were you, I would definitely go back through all of your practices and write down any vocabulary words that you see that you don't know. Start a list, get to know those words, become familiar with the definitions, because there's a higher likelihood one of those words are going to show up again on your test versus a brand new word. And along the same lines, insight number 7 is I have noticed and heard that questions from previous real tests tend to repeat. This is nothing new. I was working with international students last year on this test, and they told me that they saw questions on the May that were on the March, and they saw questions from the May test on the June test. And, you know, some students are telling me now that they're still seeing that happen. So that being said, you're going to want to strategize. If you plan on prepping for the summer and taking a test at the end of the summer, I would advise you to sign up for the August and the October, because your exposure to the questions on the August could potentially help you on the October. All right, insight number 8. A lot of you guys might already know this, but the questions definitely vary for the individual. So if you walked out of the test and you were talking about a question with pink flamingos and your friend said that they didn't have that question, that doesn't mean you didn't get the harder second module. They're changing context, they're changing numbers. That way it's harder for students to cheat and talk about the test questions. So just know that if you do take another test again, there are variations in the questions, so you might not have the same ones as your friends. All right, insight number 9. I've already mentioned this before, but 2 questions from each module are experimental questions. What this means is College Board is testing out new concepts, new ideas, different ways of asking questions, and they're not going to count. So if you end up running into a couple questions on your module and you were like, this is weird, or I'm not really sure what to do, there's a chance they could be the experimental questions. So don't freak out and assume you're getting more wrong, because there's going to be a couple questions that they throw away. All right, guys, I know I promised you I would reveal my score at the end of this video. So here it is. I got a 1580, 800 in math, and a 780 in English. To be honest with you guys, the 800 in math surprised me a little bit, because there was one question I knew for sure I got wrong, but I must have gotten lucky. I'm thinking it was the experimental question. But yeah, there you have it. I would love to hear how you guys did, so make sure you throw in the comments below your scores, your results, and if you're planning on prepping for the summer and what your goal is. And until next time, guys, happy prepping.